Joining us on the line, we have the chairman of Nedbank Reuel Khoza, and maybe turn our focus very quickly to Mr. Khoza. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. As David and I have said since earlier this morning, that although this is expected, it still comes as a shock in some way or another. How have you reacted to the news of the passing of Nelson Mandela?
You are very right. It comes as a big shock, much as it was expected, because nobody lives forever. But there is a sense in which Nelson Mandela will live for a long, long time, if not forever, in human life, because he created history, because he made a major contribution to nation building, almost single-handedly, even though one has got to acknowledge that he worked with so many others. He put together a nation and bequeathed to it a set of values which include integrity, which include the need for probity, but very, very importantly, which includes the need for leading, but basing your leadership on moral authority. But not only that, using your moral authority to extend the manner in which you get people to see your point of view, using moral suasion. He is a man who has been very, very passionate about his leadership. But he went beyond that. And in the true spirit of quintessential Ubuntu, he balanced his passion with compassion. He's a man who has been as passionate about his leadership and at your service leadership as he has been compassionate.
We spoke earlier this morning, Reuel, to several of your colleagues, your peers in the business community, captains of industry, you too being a captain of industry, and your interactions with him as a businessman, and particularly, let it be said, as a black businessman in a new South African era.
Well, my interface with the Nelson Mandela, iconic leader, actually dates back to when the ANC was coming back into the country. I was amongst the people who actually helped in securing them offices in the center of town, working hand in hand with Munich Reinsurance, then managing director Ernest Kale. But what did I actually learn from working with him? Man of vision, as I said, man of persuasion, man who actually rated dialogue way above debate. Whenever you conversed with him, you knew that he would take trouble to step into your moccasins and see your point of view, even long before he actually gave you his point of view. When I was chairman of ESCOM, I had occasion to interface with him regularly, and in fact on one occasion we had to fly to Margate to open a school in southern Natal, and I had occasion to talk to him for a good 2 hours going down and a good 2 hours coming back. And most of the time, he was almost self-effacing, even as he was relating his experiences over the Rivonia trial. The important thing about him is humility, and I want to believe that the gate into genuine leadership, impactful leadership, must be guarded by an archangel called humility. And this is something that he actually learned from some of the people that he actually worked with, particularly Walter Sisulu. He used to refer to him regularly, even as he discussed with him one-on-one. And this, I believe, should actually have a rub-off effect on business as well. The best of leaders are not those who actually lord over their followership, but those that are actually evidencing at your service leadership.
Mr. Khoza, thank you so much for joining us on the line. Of course, that was the chairman of Nedbank, Mr. Reuel Khoza. Now, joining us on the line to share his views is NASPA CEO, Koos Bekker. Koos, thank you so much for making the time to join us. And perhaps as yet another big business leader on the South African, indeed African landscape, you could share with us your most significant and memorable moment that you might have shared with the former statesman or when you were in his presence.
Madiba was extremely complex. You know, there was something in him of the prize boxer and also of the cleric. So people who just were describing him as the peacemaker saw one part of him, but he could also fight. And I heard Reuel describing him as very humble. I never experienced him as humble. I think he actually was he had a bit of vanity in him, like most of us. But he had enormous discipline. He called me every birthday. Now, I mean, who am I? Why should he do it, even after he left office? But there's a certain discipline, maybe that comes from his years in jail, that he disciplined himself. He had a certain element of self-restraint that was quite remarkable.
That is Koos Becker, the Chief Executive of Naspers, one of the